Meta jokes. Rubes.
Colonel Cochran, the all-time genius of the practical joke. He invented sticky toilet paper.
Racist toys. The specter of consumerism. Stonehenge. Androids. Microchip bugs. Irish wizards. Wait, what the Hello and welcome to Splatterdrome, the horror and sci-fi movie review show that has already gone off the rails. I'm Brandon Moeller, thank you for joining me. Continuing on with the Halloween franchise, today I'm talking about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, undoubtedly one of the strangest left turns in mainstream horror sequel history. If you recall, at the end of Halloween 2, Michael Myers and his Van Helsing Dr. Loomis were both killed in a gas explosion, so that story is finished. For now, anyway. And less than a year later, we get Halloween 3, with a completely new set of characters and a story that's totally unrelated to the events of the first two films. This is largely due to a figure behind the scenes that I've not yet mentioned in these reviews, producer Mustafa Akkad, who after making a mint on the first film, vowed to keep this series going indefinitely, no matter what. The idea for Halloween 3, which apparently came from returning producers Carpenter and Hill, was to transition the Halloween banner into an anthology series, where each new film would be a horror tale involving Halloween and leaving the Michael Myers story in the rearview. Not a bad idea. I like horror anthologies, and the 80s gave us some pretty good ones. The problem here is that they decided to keep releasing these films under the Halloween name, which was much more firmly attached to the Michael Myers character than I think these people realized at the time. The film made a tidy profit, but fans were angry, and the anthology idea was quickly scrapped. The series returned to Michael, Loomis, and occasionally Laurie, and released 7 more films as of this recording. Because of this, casual horror fans may be unaware that a Halloween movie exists that does not feature Michael Myers. And if you're one of those people, I need to offer a disclaimer. The plot summary that I'm about to give for this film is not a prank. No matter how absurd or unbelievable it sounds, this is real, I promise. So, with Michael Myers out of the picture, what is this third film all about? Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, follows Dr. Chalice, played by genre favorite Tom Atkins. Dr. Chalice is a booze-soaked absentee father who, along with his inexplicably attractive sex companion Ellie, finds himself in the middle of a murder mystery after one of his patients is killed by what appears to be a kamikaze insurance salesman. Chalice and Ellie follow their leads to the small town of Santa Mira, California, where they discover that a popular Halloween mask manufacturer, Silver Shamrock Novelties, led by the sinister Colonel Cochran, has been plotting mass murder. What Cochran and his army of Caucasian androids have done is steal a rock from Stonehenge, somehow use particles of it to manufacture microchips, which are then attached to the masks, and when given the proper signal, these microchips will cause the face of anyone touching it to burst forth with insects and snakes. Again, I am not making this up. Dr. Chalice and Ellie are discovered and captured, though Chalice escapes through the air vents John McClane style and defeats Cochran. Somehow. I don't really understand what happened there. Chalice flees Santa Mira and tries to warn the world about the dangerous masks, but the movie ends on a cliffhanger, as he may have been too late. If that sounds strange to you, you're not alone. Halloween 3 has to be one of the most peculiar installments of a major franchise that I've ever encountered. It's one thing to take out your main character. Friday the 13th did the same thing a few years later with A New Beginning, but that was still pretty much the same kind of movie. Halloween 3 is in such conflict with what came before that it's almost an affront to viewers who are coming upon it unaware. Despite the general weirdness of this movie, I think there's actually a lot to enjoy. So let's get into it with plus minus. The first plus, continuity. Somehow, even without Michael Myers, Halloween 3 feels like it belongs in this series. It's again produced by Carpenter and Hill, with a new score co-written by Carpenter, cinematography handled for a third consecutive time by the marvelous Dean Cundey, and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who worked on the original film as an editor and even played Michael Myers during the famous closet scene. So this initial trilogy is really a family affair, and you can feel it. Much like Halloween 2, this film continues the camera quality and lighting style of the other films, making it feel like a true sibling. Unlike that second movie, Halloween 3 is in much more capable hands with Tommy Lee Wallace, who captures some pretty memorable images during the course of the film. He also recorded the music and every voice heard during that Silver Shamrock commercial, so not everything he touches is gold. Minus visual effects. The kills in this movie look bad. Really bad. So many instances of unconvincing latex and mask work. Does this look like a real human head to you? Yeah, me either. Overall, the movie looks good, and I do like the art direction. But these kill effects are just not getting it done. Yikes! Next, and this is a Splatterdrome first, a question mark, because I don't really know how I feel about this one. In-jokes. Halloween 3 is littered with references to other films in the series, and a lot of in-jokes that you may not even be aware of. Here are a few examples. Dr. Chalice's ex-wife is played by Nancy Loomis, who at that time was actually married to director Tommy Lee Wallace. Actress Garn Stevens, who plays disgruntled mask buyer Marge Gutman, was then married to Tom Atkins, and is getting transformed into a bug face, while her husband is next door in bed with another woman. I'm sure they had some fun with that one behind the scenes. Jamie Lee Curtis also returns in an uncredited vocal cameo, as both the Santa Mira curfew announcer and a telephone operator. There are also several genre references, such as the first Halloween film coming on television several times, and the town of Santa Mira, which is a reference to the film Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Some of this stuff is amusing, and some just frustrates me. Specifically, I think it's pretty cruel to tease the audience with images of Michael Myers in the first film, when you know that's probably what they want, not Revenge of the Irish. Now it's time for a new segment, Things My Wife Says. I watched the second half of Halloween 3 with my wife the other night, and she provided me with some memorable quotes. Quotes like, "Why is this leading man so unattractive?" So yes, Tom Atkins. I have a lot of affection for this guy. He was also in John Carpenter's The Fog, Night of the Creeps, and he played the asshole dad in Creepshow, one of my all-time favorite films. But when I step back from my Tom Atkins fandom, it's hard not to think, why the hell is this guy a leading man? I mean, he's got good hair. He's selling the macho late 70s look well enough, sort of a working-class Burt Reynolds thing. But when he starts flirting with every woman he comes in contact with, most of whom seem to be enjoying it, I realize that we're supposed to buy Dr. Chalice as a lady killer, which is hard to swallow. Never more so than when the very attractive Ellie, after only being in Chalice's company for a handful of hours, is ready to jump into the sack with him.
Where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice?
On the subject of Ellie, here's our next quote. Who is this Jennifer Beals knockoff? I don't actually have any analysis for that, I just think it's funny. Third quote. Dick Warlock. What a great name. Hee penis wizard. If you recall, Dick Warlock is the stuntman who played Michael Myers in Halloween 2, and he returns for this film as both stunt coordinator and one of the stoic androids, the one that twists the head off of that Tom Waits-looking vagrant. This guy is great at playing a rigid, indistinct humanoid, which works here, but was an issue for me in the last film. I've probably been a little tough on Dick Warlock, and looking at his filmography, I'm realizing that I'm actually a pretty big fan. He was stunt coordinator on many genre films, including The Thing, Friday the 13th Part 5, Pumpkinhead, and many, many more. This guy had a long career. Thank you for your service, penis wizard. How about a couple of questions? At Rancho VHS writes, does Tom Atkins use an anesthesiologist during surgery, or does he just breathe on you and knock you out? Yeah, no kidding. The first time we see Dr. Chalice on screen, he's carrying a brown bag, and that behavior continues throughout the film. This dude is always equipped with booze of some kind. I'm surprised he didn't defeat Connell Cochran by creating a makeshift blowtorch with his breath. Next question. Do you agree with the decision to take this film in a different direction, yet still use the well-known Halloween name? Good question. From the standpoint of a viewer, I'm torn. It may have been a mistake to release this under the Halloween name, because it ended up turning off audience members who wanted more of the Michael Myers story. I'm not sure of how aware the public was when this came out that it was an entirely different kind of movie, and I would expect that a lot of fans were upset as they left their theaters. On the flip side, the fan backlash from this film forced the return of Michael and Loomis, and many more sequels were produced. This may not have happened without Halloween 3, so in a way, fans of the series owe it an odd debt. From a purely commercial standpoint, releasing this under the name of Halloween was definitely a smart move. The film made $14 million at the box office, which it never would have approached had it just been titled Season of the Witch or Silver Shamrock. The people behind this film knew that Halloween was a hot property, and they took advantage of that fact, attempting something new while still remaining confident that they could pull a profit. Now let's give out some hardware. I'd like to introduce the What the F*** Award, the first of which will go to director and writer Tommy Lee Wallace. Yo Tommy, what the f*** were you thinking? You basically wrote a James Bond movie where the villain is an Irish wizard who steals rocks instead of warheads, and the hero drinks beer and whiskey, not martinis. And so much of your film is nonsense. Why does a Stonehenge rock, when added to a microchip, make someone's face erupt with bugs and snakes? What was Conal Cochran going to do on November 1st? Certainly not everyone on Earth would have been wearing a silver shamrock mask and watching the big giveaway on TV. And what the hell even happens to Cochran at the end of this movie? Someone please explain this to me. Tommy Lee Wallace, what the f***? Moving on now to Best Kill, which goes to Buddy Cupford Jr., the unfortunate child Cochran uses to demonstrate the power of his Halloween masks. Buddy Jr.'s pumpkin mask appears to strangle him while simultaneously transforming his whole head into a rotten nest of cockroaches and large snakes. Ooh, that is nasty. So in summary, how do I rate Halloween 3, Season of the Witch? I know I've kicked some dirt on this thing today, but the truth is, I really like this movie, and I watch it every Halloween season. The lack of Michael Myers doesn't bother me one bit. If I want to watch a Michael story, there are plenty other volumes in this series to pick from. And the general weirdness and absurdity of Halloween 3 makes it an enjoyable watch for me just about every time I pop it in. It's a so bizarre it's good novelty film, and I really can't think of anything else quite like it. It has enough artistic holdovers from the previous two films to make you feel comfortable, like you're back in the Halloween universe. It has a good score, superb lighting, Carpenter-esque effect stings. Throw in Tom Atkins as an unwashed everyman hero, and you're off to the races. There's a mountain of dumb shit in this movie, don't get me wrong, but that's part of the appeal. I'll be laughing my head off one minute at some hilariously absurd moment or cliche screenwriting move, and then a minute later I'm creeped out by one of those gnarly bug face scenes. I'm entertained all the way through this movie for reasons both ridiculous and commendable. So I'm giving Halloween 3 Season of the Witch 2.5 stars. I absolutely recommend this movie, but that comes with terms and conditions. If the only thing you're interested in is the Michael Myers storyline, feel free to skip over this film. It doesn't have anything for you. But if you're curious, or just want to enjoy some oddball 80s genre fun, absolutely check this movie out. Go in with an open mind. I think there's a chance you'll have a really good time. Thank you for joining me on Splatterdrome. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to hit me up on Instagram, questions, comments, whatever. And I'll be back soon with Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.